Okay, Jim, I'm not going to say anything. You start because you're going to set it up. What is it? Where is it?
Well, we're in a mall in Vermont. We forgot the name of the mall. And we're at the food court, and none of us brought any money. So we're hoping that one of these wonderful people in the food court will come and bring. They're all left. They all just left.
We're looking for charity?
Yeah.
We're looking for people to give us handouts?
Handouts?
Government handouts?
That reminds me of an interview I saw Bernie Sanders with
Bill Maher.
What's his name?
Bill Maher.
Bill Maher, yeah. Bill Maher is a very
Very
successful, very successful person, I would think.
Yeah, YouTube and comedian. He's a comedian, but
yeah. And so he had Bernie Sanders on his show, and Bernie Sanders.
Do your Bernie Sanders for us, Jim.
Well, before I do that, I need my soup. You need to get my soup. But it's true. I mean, when you went to school, how much did it cost you? It cost you what? $50.
And there is a
there's people living forever on debt, forever. They can't even have children because they can't even. Well, they can't even have it.
Jim is sounding like an authentic left-leaning independent from Vermont.
I thought I sounded more like that Joe Rogan guy.
No, you don't sound like Joe Rogan. You sound very much like Bernie Sanders. So what's the point of talking like Bernie Sanders, and why are we in his beloved Vermont?
It's part of his shtick, isn't it? I mean,
Bernie Sanders talking?
Well, his talk his way. I mean, every comedian will say the same thing. Where's my soup? And I just want the soup warm. He works with his hands.
Yes, he does.
Seeing me, if we were on camera, you'd see me, and he droops them like that.
Yes.
You have it easy, so it's easy for you. But it isn't so easy for 99% of everybody else.
One of the great memes of Bernie Sanders was at the Trump inauguration. That perfectly sunny day when Bernie's sitting there with his hat and mitts on?
Yeah.
That was something else.
Do you think that was so he didn't have to clap?
Maybe. That was a great strategy of avoidance. Speaking of, not wanting to feel...
And just get under the skin of Trump, probably.
Okay, well, let's go back to Bernie Sanders on Bill Maher, and we don't have to talk about the content, just so much as to look at what Bernie is saying about economics.
He has a point. I'd like to know what happened. Even in Canada, some countries today we know they're socialistic countries, but education's free. We have free education for our indigenous people if they want it. They can take advantage. They don't. Some do. I shouldn't say they don't. I didn't mean it to sound that way. I was just wondering, what happened where school was affordable and now it isn't? Is part of it because... Well, the university professors and that get paid very well and all that? Or is it the property taxes are high for schools? Or are they taxed? What happened in this world that made it you have to be rich to get an education or find some grant?
That's a good question. Even back in my day, I did 7 years worth of post-high school university education. And I came away with student debt, even though I was from a large family, so lots of kids, lots of this was middle class, working class. So I thought I could, accumulate some Ontario Student Assistance Plan dollars, the OSAP. Yeah. And eventually I got some, but it had to be paid back. And so I ended up with some debt at the end. But the proportion of debt related to how much it costs to school me is considerably different than it is today.
Yeah. You could have probably walked away from that debt too, eh?
Maybe today you could, but...
One of my sons accrued a debt, and he paid it. But he knew he could have walked away from it.
Well, I think the ethics of that decision... that's where you put your... What do I really believe about life and what's important? And what does this mean to me as a human being and a character? Yeah. My character. What does it say about me if I walk away?
Yeah. I'm going to be faced with one of those dilemmas, eh? Eventually, I'm going to have to walk away from my timeshare. There's no way out.
Oh, well, that's a different
kettle of fish. I'm just saying. Okay. But it's on my mind, and I had an issue last night with it
okay.
also.
So a crisis of conscience.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is rightly pointing out that back when he was, say, the post-war period, so 1950s to 60s, that and I'll switch from university training and the cost of education to CEOs, owners of businesses, and their salaries relative to the average worker in the facility that they own and operate their business. 1950s and 60s, it was about 20 times the average salary. By the 1970s, it was 40 times. Now it is, this is 2023 statistic, 2022, 400 times the average.
Well, can you apply that to the school system then?
You probably.
Like the dean, is he making 400 times what the janitor's making?
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
So these are the things that we need to understand. And then, of course, we have to go back to the inflationary dollar and scale it all in proportion to what a dollar was worth.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Well, do you remember ever making $2 an hour? I
Yeah,
do.
I do.
I do. $2 an hour.
I think I made, $1.65, something like that. Yeah. Really, really not much.
Not much. And I look at the starting salary, my annual salary when I started my first year of teaching, got my first full-time job. My gosh. It's about 1/5 of what the average starting salary is now.
It's funny, off the subject and on the subject. I remember when I was a kid in a part-time job at night, there was a driving range, and kids would line up to want to go pick up the balls after it closed.
Yeah.
And you come in and he'll give you your $2 or whatever it was
Yeah.
for doing it. And I always got picked, and I never really thought why, but I did. And the reason I got picked is I'd come by, buy a Coke, a package of cigarettes.
You spent your $2 right there.
Right there, and go away with nothing, right? Where someone else might want to save it for, I don't know, anything that's good. And so why
Isn't
not
it?
pick me, who's just going to reinvest it right before the night's out?
That's a great story.
Well, it's true, but it happens
when
to be
did
a
you
true
figure
story.
that out?
Oh, just recently I thought, yeah.
That's what I call a lifelong
Well,
lesson.
no, I mean, there was no need to figure it out because it was a symbiotic relationship, you might say, because I needed smokes and I needed my Coke.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola, that is, folks. And I no
Gotta
longer
specify.
smoke.
Yeah.
That's been long gone, but that's what I needed. So I think it was probably a bag of chips, Coca-Cola, and a pack of cigarettes, and I'd cover it.
You were an
They'd probably just say,
existentialist.
"I'll just keep the $2. You just pick what you want." And go.
You were living in the moment, which is what all teens tend to do.
Yeah, I never planned for any future when I was a teenager.
No, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
All right, so Bernie Sanders has this thing about CEO salaries, and I was watching a documentary. If you've ever seen the movies, they're on Netflix. I think Corporation and Corporation Part 2, 2.0, or whatever it is, the current examination of wealth and the unequal distribution of wealth. And that is a big concern because the charts are like CO2 in the atmosphere.
Really,
It's going off the charts in a slope that you'd like to ski down maybe if you're on a suicide mission.
So, but what do you do?
What do you do about it? Good question. Let's start with voting.
Well, you can vote, but I mean, eventually, what is the plan? Is the plan to make everything governmental owned? Like,
No, I don't think there's a taste for socialism. I think there's a taste for what I would call a hybrid capitalism model.
like the oligarch said in Russia.
What did he say?
Well, no, but I mean, that's a different form of capitalism, really.
No, that's a different form of.
Well, I know, but I
an
mean,
oligarchy is just its own form of
you've
economic
got very,
and
very
political
few
subject.
people making gazillions of dollars.
Yeah.
Putin's one of the richest men in the world.
Yes, but will he be if he's charged with war crimes? Will he spend any of his time?
Does Hitler ring a bell?
Does Hitler ring a bell?
Well, when it all came tumbling down, some say he lived in Argentina the rest of his life. Others say he died in that pit.
Yes.
Maybe Putin will just get on one of his many yachts and sail off into some
It
distance.
better be a nuclear-powered submarine, one that needs no fuel, doesn't need to land anywhere, and has a lifetime supply of food.
Anyways, we're off subject a little bit, but
Yeah, the whole point of this one was to just talk about Bernie Sanders and his notion that progressives are all about helping a situation that seems to be going amok, awry. All the words that mean off the rails, to use that ethical discussion. Can we switch the track and save those 5 people?
yeah,
And
I
let
don't
the
know.
one Bezos or the one Musk or the one other billionaire, fill in the blank with the name of your choice. Can we let those guys pay? And I know you hate this notion of
I don't like that
top-down economics, the trickle-down stuff.
Well, because I think they already have paid. They've taken the chances. They've put up the money. They've got investors, and they employ millions of people who pay billions in taxes.
We're not talking about them
But you take
necessarily
that away
personally.
from them. The incentive for them to be the gazillionaire.
See, this is where we get into difference.
Yeah.
This is where I tend to lean towards what would Jesus do, and I don't think he would be accumulating wealth.
Don't you worry. I'll never be a billionaire. I promise you that.
Okay,
So I mean,
good. I can put that one on.
I can observe stuff and not be. That's not going to be for me. I don't.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm almost a minimalist. I believe that you got a problem if you're banked in wealth.
The question
bathed in
comes
it.
down to how much is enough, and if you can answer
Depends
that,
what you want to do with the money. Like Musk is building a fleet of spaceships. I mean, that's what he's doing with his money. There's a lot of things that Bezos probably does that people like. Like they're willing to watch his movies and everything else and have the convenience of something.
you mean
delivered.
Amazon Prime?
Yeah, and having something delivered to their house the very next day. All that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the guy who put the chance up for that. So if you take that away, then you don't have that anymore. And maybe that's a good thing. I'm not saying it isn't.
I would challenge the phrase, you take that away from them, so your incentive. I'm not sure that paying your fair share of taxes is ever taking away from a gazillionaire.
You got the last word.
I got the last word. Next time it will be Jim. All right, talking about the unequal distribution of wealth, and can we do something? I'd say vote, vote, and vote. Last word. Bye-bye.
Send us money.